Hi, I'm Alex from Iteration Games. We're currently working on a real-time strategy game An Elaborate History of Chess, where you use chess pieces to farm food and fight enemies. This video we wanted to cover some of the things that we've recently added to make the game feel more juicy, making the moment-to-moment gameplay feel really great, even if you're just fighting some rats. To make our chess game more juicy, I made a lot of the actions and events that happen frequently throughout the game more visually and audibly interesting. One of the biggest ways of making the game juicy that's been around for a while now but I haven't really talked about before is the sound system I wrote to make playing custom and varied sound for each piece a lot easier. Sound adds a lot to any game, and making it fun and varied makes the game feel juicy. If we look at this clip without sound, for example, and then watch it again with some simple sound, it's already a little bit better. One sound for every action and event isn't very good though. The problem is when you attach an audio source to a game object in Unity, there's not actually loads that you can do with it on its own. You can give it an audio clip to play and tell it to play on a wake or loop, and with a little bit of code you can tell it to play when a piece is spawned, moves, attacks, and takes damage. Obviously though, with only one audio clip attributed to it, it's just not very interesting. So I created a sound bank class that I can put on any game object with an audio source, and that has a list of objects that I called sound groups. A sound group is a group of sounds that all apply to the same action. So each of the actions I mentioned before has a group, one for spawn, one for move, one for attack, and another for take damage. And they're all tagged with those names, so I can call in a specific sound group by searching for it in the code. When I ask a sound bank to play an attack noise, for example, it searches through the sound groups it has, finds the one labelled attack, and plays a random sound from the list on the attached audio source, changing the pitch within a range defined by me when I added it. This means that not only can the same audio source play sounds for a variety of different events or actions, but each one of those can have a few different versions of the sound to mix them up a little, and each one of those can play in a range of different pitches to mix them up even further. Add that to the fact that each type of piece can override the base sound bank with its own version of sounds, and each piece can have custom sounds that are really diverse. If we look back at that clip from before, it already sounds so much better. But let's see if we can improve that attack animation a little to make it feel even more juicy. When a piece attacks another piece, they now save that their current movement is an attack, so the code I wrote to smoothly move them towards a new position can be ignored, and instead the piece makes use of an animation curve to move towards the tile where the defending piece is. Animation curves are a great way of exposing things you want to be able to create a custom curve for to the Unity Inspector panel, even if it's not an animation. For attacks, I made it so that over the course of the first second that the attacking piece is moving, they actually move backwards, and then rush forwards, making it look like they're powering up and charging forwards for the attack. This felt a lot more chess-like as it emulated pieces sliding around a board, rather than just being little people walking around. I also made it so that when doing that movement, a trail renderer gets momentarily turned on, and a little swoosh sound effect plays, so it really intensifies the attack. That's all layered on top of the old attack and damage animations and sound effects too, as well as the particle system with amped up for a piece taking damage, so it has more impact. We're also playing about with a small amount of camera shake to make fighting even more juicy, but with the game potentially ending up with loads of automated pieces fighting each other, we don't want it to get overwhelming, so the intensity of the screen shake is tied to how close the attack is to the centre of the screen, and it's only really strong when the attack involves the player's currently selected piece. Of course, we'll also make sure that that's something you can change the intensity of in the options menu, or even turn it off completely. When pieces have taken enough damage, they now also start flashing red, so you know when to get one of your pieces out of a fight, or when it might be worth rushing the enemy for a quick final blow. When one of your pieces enters this low health phase, we also added an extra sound effect and animation to really draw your attention to where it's happening. When a piece isn't at low health, however, it might not be very clear that they're still below full health, so we've added a health bar in the piece's level above their head when you hover over them. This means that you have a bit more agency regarding which of your pieces you might want to level up faster, or which enemy to avoid. Pieces that have their health tied to their level, such as castles, now also have a version of this hover display with a reminder of what item you'll need to upgrade them with. Another commonly occurring action we juiced up is whenever a pawn harvests or grows a plant, which now has a small particle system that spawns and despawns itself, similar to how we handled the damage effect, as well as the new leveling up and down effects. Items being created and destroyed when you pick up and release them in the inventory now also have an animation, as well as the crafter animating to draw the player's attention to the craft completing or failing. The timer at the bottom of the screen also wiggles when you're close to the end of the day, which makes it clear that you're running out of time to get food, even if you aren't actively watching the time tick away. There's still always more to do to make the game more juicy, but the moment-to-moment gameplay definitely feels more exciting, simply by adding some additional animations, particle effects and sounds. To stay up to date with an elaborate history of chess, make sure to subscribe, join our Discord, all of the usual stuff, and like this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to wishlist the game now on Steam, and if you've got any ideas about more things we can do to make the game even more pleasing to interact with, then feel free to leave a comment. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video.